Are you looking to maximize the amount of money that you can make from side hustles? If so, don't forget to join the Side Hustler Society newsletter so you can stay up to date and posted on when we come out with new content. By joining the newsletter, you will also receive Chapter 5 of my best selling book, The Anatomy of Financial Success. This chapter specifically focuses on income as well as the various types of income and what income will work best for you based on your expectations and overall what you want when it comes to money. Go to www.fachapter.com to join the newsletter and get started. Sup, my fellow hustlers. Welcome to another episode produced by the Side Hustler Society. And in this video, or podcast rather, we're going to be talking about event planning and the benefits it can offer you as a freelancer or as a hustler. Because if you plan events or if you're the founder of some kind of meetup group, regardless of if it has something to do with your profession or not, it can actually end up being an effective lead generator. I am literally proof of this because a lot of y'all know I actually do have a plant-based meetup group called the Veggie Outers that goes to vegan restaurants and reviews them on a scale of 1 to 10 based on a few different factors. And we also do other types of meetups that involve with health and wellness. Every now and then we'll go, see a movie, stuff like that. And I've actually gotten plenty of leads for my own business because a lot of y'all do know that I am a freelancer. I still do some video editing on the side. Even though I'm not full-time anymore, I'm not going to say no to money. And oftentimes, a lot of the veggie editors have actually used my services as a video editor. And I've actually gotten a number of consultations just from people being in my network, so to speak. And since the veggie editors was the cause of that, this is a proof of the strategy that we're going to be covering here. Joining me in today's episode is actually someone who has a lot of experience when it comes to event planning, both professionally and prior to what she does do. Her name is Kirsten Bradford, and she is an accomplished digital strategist and social media consultant with a strong educational background and extensive professional experience. She earned her bachelor's degree in communications and technology from the University of North Texas at Dallas and went to obtain a master's degree in management from Southern Methodist University. With 7 years in the digital strategy and social media consultancy field, Kirsten has honored her skills and expertise, making significant contributions to various projects and organizations. In 2023, Kirsten founded For the Girls Social, an organization dedicated to bridging the gap between education and socialization, creating an uplifting community for Black women in the DFW area. Since its inception in April 2023, For the Girls Social has been serving women throughout various initiatives, including social events, seminars, and impactful scholarships and community programs. Under Kirsten's leadership, the organization is expanding its efforts this year to reach and support more women, continuing to foster empowerment and connection within the community. So, with that intro and bio being done, let's go ahead and hop into today's episode and get started.
Welcome to the Side Hustler Society podcast, the place where you can find out more about the hustles that are best for you. And of course, make more money in the process. Elijah has been in the gig economy and freelance space for over 8 years and has done over 4,000 deliveries on Uber Eats. Has several video editing clients, many properties on Airbnb, runs multiple YouTube channels, and is the author of the best-selling book, The Anatomy of Financial Success. It's his mission to empower people with the tools needed to be successful. Now, welcome your host, the king of the side hustles, Elijah Bilel.
Okay, we officially recording. We're live. I'm glad to be bringing Kirsten on to the show because I think you have a very unique skill set, and also you have a pretty powerful mission statement that people can definitely benefit from. How's your day going so far, Kirsten?
Kirsten, and it is going really well. I'm sorry, this mute button is we're gonna fight, but it's okay. We're gonna have a good show.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we've had a little technical difficulty, but you know what? We're not gonna let that stop the progress from going because we got to get y'all this information, side hustlers. So, with that being said, a lot of people are wondering, like, what's the origin story, like, for your business, For the Girls Social? You want to tell us some more about it?
Yeah, so but before I get started, I just want to thank you so much again for allowing me to be on your platform and share a little bit about myself. So again, my name is Kirsten Dion. I am the executive director and founder of For the Girls Social. And the way that we started was that in 2023, I was going through like a really rough spot in 2023. This is how it all came to be. Obviously, there are like a whole bunch of other things that took place before that really just shaped the mission. But in 2023, I was in a real rough spot, and I knew that I needed community more than anything. And from that rough place was birthed for the girls' social. I had just a few of my girls. I was like, hey, let's go to brunch. And I extended it from them to like a few other friends of ours and then other friends of theirs. And it went from like one brunch for 1 month to another brunch the next month. And then after that, just a series of socials. And from then on, we've been operating again since April 2023. And we've had plenty of brunches and picnics and so many other powerful events since then. And our largest event, which is around the corner, our Black Santa Christmas event, where we celebrate and highlight Blackness in our community, even through fictional characters, which is Santa. And also, we give away a scholarship to a single parent because, again, like I said earlier, a whole bunch of other things led to that one moment in April. So, as a single parent who has been in education and gotten my master's, I just feel like it's really important to go back and make sure that we're equipping other women who want to be able to do the same things that I've done. So that's pretty much how we started.
Okay. So, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like originally was this unintentional? Then it kind of you saw that there was a need for this type of service and community, you decided to build it, or was it intentional? Where it's like, well, I kind of knew this ahead of time, so I made moves. It sounds like it kind of happened once you saw that there was an issue that needed to be addressed. Am I right?
I would say that it was by happenstance. I think that I've always been like purposed for something bigger than corporate America. And then I always tried other things outside of corporate America. So once this opportunity came and then it started showing itself to me, I definitely just turned my back completely to corporate America and then just started positioning myself to be able to be a resource.
Okay, gotcha. It's an interesting comparison because obviously it's very different from what you just what you've set up. But I'm comparing it to we had talked before. My audience already knows. I have a meetup group called the Veggie Outers, and we've been for going on 8.5 years now. And yeah, the way it started, I saw that there was a need, and I decided to go ahead and fill that need. So it's kind of unintentional. And the ironic part is this time around, the Veggiators kind of serves as a lead generator for my other businesses, even though the point of it isn't even to make any money, which is kind of interesting. And we'll elaborate further on that in the show. But yeah, I think you just kind of admitted that you're doing this full time, right?
That is correct. This is the only thing that I do, and I'm so glad.
Cool, cool. FYI, everyone, I actually met her at a networking event for entrepreneurship where it was like this panel. It was speaking on, people were speaking on exactly what is entrepreneurship to them, what are some of the struggles that people have, both emotional, practical, and intellectual. So, yeah, obviously, on the side of the society, we fully support you going full time at some point. In fact, I would go as far as to say that's my personal mission statement for some people. But I digress. I digress. But yeah, with that backstory kind of being elaborated on, what type of events have you planned in the past? Because you mentioned how this is community building. So, what type of events have you hosted?
Oh, that's a great question. And I'm excited to answer, but I want to go back to something that you said earlier. You said that we had a panel. I want to highlight that our cocktails and conversations by For the Girls is not paneled. Because I think that's what distinguishes us is that we do not have panels. So everybody that spoke was just people who wanted to talk and tell their own personal story because no matter what event I plan, I want everybody to feel communal. I want it to feel like everybody, it doesn't matter at what stage or what walk in life you're in, is that everybody is equal and everybody is good at whatever they're good at. And we can all learn from that. So definitely want to be able to answer your question, but I wanted to get to that first. And essentially some of the events that I planned before were they were really off brand, which is crazy. But you never know what you're doing when you're doing it. You just do it. So I first was planning. This is crazy. So I am my group's mom. So everybody has a friend group, and you're either the friend mom or you're the friend dad. So I'm the friend mom. And so before I planned anything, I was always planning the trips. I was always planning the outings. So I had always had this like event planner in me. I would plan, like I planned when we went to New Orleans. I spoke to everybody when we went to what is that? Hawaii? No, what was that? Hollywood. It was Hollywood. Vegas, planned all of that. So I have always been like the group planner. Everybody relies on me to make those phone calls and put together the PowerPoint of what we're going to do. The itinerary is me. And then it went from that to I had my son. And so then I planned my own baby shower, which is absurd. And going back, I should have let everybody else do it. But so then I planned my own baby shower. Then I planned other people's baby showers and gender reveals. And then from that to what was that, fashion shows. So then I started planning fashion shows, and that was real interesting. Very, very different for me. And then after planning fashion shows, then I started doing small business pop-up shops, and that was a really interesting experience as well. And so all of those little things just like really helped me hone in my craft and realize, that everything is sales and everything is marketing. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in, you have to know how to navigate those, and that language and verbiage is different. And so it went from that to now my biggest event here at For the Girls, which is our Black Santa Christmas event that again is coming up this December 7th. And to see how like I was always making my way to like this event and not really knowing that's what it was. Is even when you was the mom of the group, you were always honing in on the skill of you can plan events, you can plan things big and small, even cocktails and conversation. That's a type of event planning. So yeah, just kind of going from there to there. Really, really, really different, but we're here now.
Wow. Yeah, I find it kind of funny because I can relate. You said like you've been putting events together for quite some time, even if it's before it quote unquote professional. And when I say professional, doing something professional just means that you get paid to do it. That's literally all it means. So I remember like back when I used to work for Amazon when I was a PA. There's me, my friend David, and like there's this whole Amazon crew that kind of naturally developed of like 10 people, and we were all friends. And we noticed real quick that nothing would ever get planned, whether it be like, let's go see a movie or go out to eat or like whatever, unless either me or David planned it. So like people kind of like joked that like, hey, these are like the fathers of our little crew. Because nothing, if they wouldn't plan something, we just wouldn't meet up. We probably would all fall apart. And I found that kind of funny, but it was very true. And anytime someone wanted to do something, they would come to one of us. Like, hey, y'all, can you set up this or this or this? Like, I can really relate to that. But interesting thing is, you were doing it for essentially you were doing it not professionally for a good while, developing your skills, and whether you realized it or not at the time, essentially you're working for free. And then those skills more easily transferable once you decide to build something bigger around it. Would you say that that's pretty accurate?
That's 100% correct. I feel that I just, you know, leadership is very strange. I don't think anybody is ever just like wakes up and says, I'm the leader. Like it's just kind of like something that falls in your lap. And so, yeah, that's basically the story. Love, like when I finally became a mom, it was like, oh, this is the best job ever. I've been doing this. It's way different, but it's like now there is a different, it's a reward. Maybe not payment, but it is a reward in being a parent to a small person and not big people your age.
Got you. Okay. So this next question, a lot of people may be wondering about this, but as far as events go, do you mainly plan free events for your organization, or are some of them paid?
So, to answer your question, these events, I thought, you know, they should be free, because I'm trying to build this following. I'm trying to get people bought into what we're doing. And now I'm in this state of, you know what? Everything that I am doing is valuable and it costs me money and it costs me time. And that the resources that I have and that I'm going to use for other people, they should not be free. So, as a member for the Grow Social, this is a free resource to members. But even with that, there is going to be a membership fee come in 2025 because that exclusivity and the resources that we do provide are very, very valuable. And a lot of these people who are in these corporate spaces and just in these really professional spaces, they're giving us their time. So we have to be able to compensate in some type of way. And we have to be able to, keep the doors open on the nonprofit. So memberships will in the near future be, they'll cost. And then
There'll be a fee.
yeah, and then even the cocktails and conversations, the first one was free. Just wanted to see what it was like, and now those are ticketed, and we have For the Girls Fridays at Sankofa now, and those are ticketed as well. So just making sure that everything that we do, because we know there is a value add there, we are attaching a value to it. Am I scared? You bet. But do it scared, do it anyways.
Well, I think that's kind of part of entrepreneurship. You're gonna have fears, and I think part of responsibility. And I'm quoting Robert Kiyosaki from his book "Before You Quit Your Job," but part of being an entrepreneur is quite literally for you to face your fears so that it could benefit you and the people you're responsible for. Versus, when you're an employee, fear is a good thing because it kind of keeps you. You want to make sure that you're going to be a perfectionist and deliver value. And if there's too many mistakes, that's when you run the risk of getting written up or fired. When you're an entrepreneur, not only do you need to face your fears, you need to be comfortable with making mistakes so you can learn from them. And that's part of your responsibility as an entrepreneur. So it's actually a very inverted world. Yeah. But with that being the case, let me just chime in real quick because some people in the audience might be wondering, okay, so Elijah, I'm a plumber, or I'm a graphic designer, or I'm a video editor. How does event planning benefit me? I'm going to refer y'all to a podcast I did with Pam Hill she's a real estate investor, and she spoke on exactly what are the benefits, not the benefits, but exactly where would be a great place to find mentorship or to find good deals at. And she told you to stay away from those like salesy type real estate events that these are just some random people hosting something so they can sell you something. And she directly recommended, who will have good meetups where you could probably find some decent deals at? People who are realtors, people who are real estate agents. They're providing this educational experience for their meetup group, or they post events on Meetup or Eventbrite or whatever. And you learn a lot from that event. But guess what? The next time it's time for you to buy a house, who do you think you're going to call? You're going to call them. So that free event ends up being a lead generator for that. They're in the same boat as you. They're a freelancer. So this is where the value of event planning can really come into place. And that's why y'all want to soak up this game, because it can serve as a very passive lead generator. And it's like building tenure. Some people may be interested right away, but you can get a call 6 months from now. Hey, I need your service. And as long as you're easily accessible, do I need to say anymore? But swinging back to the event planning, I asked that question because you said you plan on charging in the future, but in the past, have you ever charged for an event?
So, up until I did, up until I started doing For the Girls Social, everything was ticketed. Everything was ticketed.
Okay.
And then now, as I moved into this, similar to your thought pattern, or, just similar to things that have worked, is sometimes you have to look at events at holistically, like holistically, will this person be a buyer of what I'm selling so long as they're exposed to what I do? And so far, from what I've seen in my organization, every free event that I've held, I have made a connection with my audience so strong that I have members. Like, I can say that I have members. And they are very faithful to our events. All they had to do was be exposed. And now they're faithful. They come to anything that they can come to, and they try to make everything. So much so that we're now starting to implement like rewards for attendance, because it's just like, you guys are here like you run it. Like, y'all are here on time, bright and early, smiling faces, and you're here at everything. So we just want to be able to say thank you to all of the members who come and who are consistently showing up and bringing other people. Like, that's so great. And like you said, that's part of having the free events. That's part of being in community. And I don't think a lot of people know that there are jobs being created now called community engagement officers. And essentially, those are people that have corporate jobs that are there to engage with people. Because if you're not there in person, if you're not going to the events where your people will be at, nobody wants, they like, it's a job now. Like, you have to be in the community and connecting. So events are very important. So important that there is now a job for people to go to events. And there has always been a job in corporate America for event planners. So just if you were worried about events, be a part of them, create them, and go to them.
I was not aware that existed, but I guess in the growing landscape that we're dealing with, it makes sense why a position like that would need to be created. Hmm. And what she's talking about, there's a book. I guess I'm a walking dictionary today, but what do y'all expect? Y'all see my bookshelf. Y'all see this every single episode. Y'all know I'm pretty literate. But there's a book called Superfans written by Pat Flynn. And he basically outlines the hierarchy of people who support you. There's obviously and it's layered. There's people who support you with their eyeballs, free. There's people that will come to an in-person event, but it's still free. Then there's people that's willing to give you money, where they're your Patreons. Then you have your super fans, where these are people that spent more than $100 with you. And like, once you pass a certain amount, these are your ride or dies. And it's if you get involved in event planning, it's a great transition point for that hierarchy. Because if you just do this online stuff, a person may be watching you for free, so they're supporting you with their eyeballs, which is first level. But if you have something in person they can go to, they may go ahead and go to that. And then once something paid is offered, or they see that something is paid available, they may go ahead and take the next step. So you'll have a higher conversion rate, as opposed to if that free event wasn't there, not everyone will make that instant leap to being a paying customer unless that event was kind of like the transition point. So it can actually end up working very hugely in your favor. But Christian, I got to ask you, um, when it comes to event planning, because I've experienced this to some degree too, do you use different strategies for free events in terms of promotion versus paid events where obviously it does cost something? Do you use different strategies and tactics based on if an event is free versus if it's paid?
No. And
Oh,
the reason for me saying no is because I think it's two-phase right now. I am in the 0 to 3, so I'm in the startup phase of the business cycle. And also because to me, it takes the same amount of energy. It's gonna take the same amount of energy to promote a free event as opposed to a paid event. So if I'm going to, if I go all out for a paid event because I know I'm gonna get money off of it, then have to like find these like go arounds to promote this like free event, it's gonna take the same amount of energy compared to if I just do it the way I would do it if I had a paid event. Like I feel like the payoff is what I'm focused on when I'm throwing events. The payoff when I'm throwing free events is membership. The payoff with the memberships or growth in memberships is that people are bought into my organization, and then similar to what you were saying, is now you have that super fan. Because I threw a free event. Now I have people that are willing to pay hundreds of dollars compared to if I get these people, who I'm doing the paid event for, they may or may not come back. And I'm still again putting out the same amount of energy. Like some
mm,
things you just have to do because it just needs to be done. That repetition, you have to work out that muscle. And planning events and going hard at events and promoting events, keep working out that muscle because you'll, even now when I run ads, I've been to school for it's to learn how to run ads, you know what I'm saying? But that has evolved since 2021. And now I'm just like I'm gonna keep running ads because I need to keep seeing how well I'm doing, or if I'm growing and running ads, or if I need to pay somebody to run my ads. Like I do it for great practice. I'm gonna do it the same way for great practice sake, because I always want to be a student of my craft. And when I get to the point where I can start bringing people on, if I'm always in practice, it's gonna be really easy to tell when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. So, not for nothing but great practice sometimes.
okay. And just so everyone knows, we say 0 to 3. You're talking about in that phase of the business where it hasn't been beyond 3 years, right? That's what you're referring to. Some people they may not know what that means, so I want to make sure they get what you're saying. So this question, I'm real curious about your answer, but yeah, I saw that you were on the Meetup app, right? I got to ask you, how useful has the Meetup app been for you, and would you say it's worth it?
Meetup has been very worth it for me. I'm not entirely sure how it has been for anybody else, but I definitely I was in corporate America before this, and corporate America introduced me to Meetup. I had no idea of its existence until corporate America, and I have been winning off of Meetup. If you not winning off of Meetup, you not trying to win off of Meetup because the audience is there. These are already segmented people. People who are on Meetup are literally trying to find a place to be. They're segmented. And then they segment themselves again because they follow your platform. If you're not touching them, if you don't want to be a part of them, if you don't want to grow whatever you're doing, don't be on Meetup and just leave those people who connect with you to be. But I'm telling you, I think I had 50, maybe not even 50, maybe 30 people when I threw my Christmas event. And I think 6 of them showed up, which is a great conversion. Um, and I've been growing ever since. So I grew 200% between May and July, just getting out of school. So between May and July, I grew 200%. Like Meetup is a great tool, and the organization has grown. and people are far more bought in. Like I said, the people who keep coming and keep showing up as members, those are the people that came off of Meetup. And additionally, I just want everybody to know that your super fans are not anybody that you know right now. They are not your friends. Your super fans are not your friends. They're not your family. They're not your mom's friends. Your mom's friends don't give a hoot about you. They're not going to support you. The people who do support you are people that have no idea who you are. They've never heard your story before, and they're just interested in what you have. So if you're on the internet, on Twitter, very sad and writing those little spicy tweets talking about, or whatever they are, exes, writing those little spicy exes where people are like, I can't believe my friends aren't supporting your business. Newsflash, they won't. So you need to focus on the people who are supporting your business, because it takes the same amount of effort. And the same amount of effort you went to go put that tweet on X, you could have put a positive tweet on X about how all of these super fans you created from people that you don't know. Every time, I'm sorry, I'm on a rant, but every single time that I think about the people who aren't supporting me, I tweet about the people who are, and it changes my whole perspective. Attitude is everything. So that's for somebody. I didn't mean, like, Spirit put that on me. That was for somebody. Whoever is watching this, under the sound of my voice, your friend is not supporting you. Oh well.
Nice sermon. And there's definitely, I could feel the passion in your voice coming from that. I think it's important that people need to hear that. If you are going to prospect your friends and family, maybe the name of the show should be Dictionary or something, because I'm going to refer another book. But most people don't have a network marketing background. And there's a book called GoPro by Eric Worre. And he says that most people fail in network marketing because they only use like one approach. It's the direct approach. And that only works like 10% of the time. But, there's three approaches. There's the direct approach, the indirect approach, and the super indirect approach. And if you're going to approach your friends and family about, this thing you got going on, I think it really should be the super indirect approach. Now, what was that? You basically say, hey, this is what I got going on. I know it's not for you, but do you know anyone that might be interested in it? And they'll want to know more about it before they refer some of their friends and family, but they will be intrigued to hear what you got going on. So then that happens, you've effectively let them know what you have going on, and they're not going to do anything for a while. But once it gets big and they see it getting big, like they see these social media posts building and the credibility building, like, hey, so it looks like that's turning out pretty good. Like, when's your next event, or when's like such and such going on? And quite literally, I've done this with the Veggie Outers. Even though I'll say we started out kind of modestly, we started out with our meetups being about like 11 people. But once they really start exploding into like having 20 or 25 people per meetup, and people seeing the video reviews and all the food, the pictures they're taking and all that, people were like, oh, wow, like, hey, what do y'all have in the next meetup? They want to be there at the conclusion, not at the beginning. You can't fault them for that. Just set your expectations, okay? Yeah.
Set your expectations. To piggyback off of that, honestly, my Christmas event, I'm in the middle of my master's program. So this is something I shouldn't be doing anyways. Just want to make that clear. I should not be throwing an event this large in the middle of a master's program. With a 2.8, and I had to make a 2. And I had to make a 3.0. But God is good. But so I'm in the middle of planning this, and I'm telling my parents about it. And they're like, okay, girl, blah blah blah. And I keep telling them about it. I even called my brother, and he was like, yeah, I'll be there to support you. Not knowing that it was going to be all hands on deck. So they're thinking that I'm going to bring out maybe 50 people. When 150 families showed up, it was like, oh, you moving and shaking in the city. Like, my dad just could not believe it. He was like, and you did all of this and you were in school. I was like, and you're not gonna believe what I do next year, because it's so different. And like you said, like, if books are writing this and they're very consistent about writing this, then that just goes to show you, like, don't give up. Like they're not gonna believe it until the conclusion, similar to what you said. Like, and it's okay that you just do it anyways. You keep going anyways.
Indeed. So, what would you say is the hardest part that you've ever experienced when it comes to planning an event?
Human capital is something that is very reliable human capital and professional human capital has been difficult, not just in event planning, but in business. I think that some people have really great intention, but they don't have really great work ethic. And when you're in the building stages of something, you can't rely on intention. You have to have people who have it in them. You know what I'm saying? Like they have to really want something for themselves. Like you want something from yourself. Maybe they don't believe in the organization, but they have to believe in what they do and the role that they play in the organization or whatever you're doing. And so it's been very difficult for me to find people that believe in what they do best. I think it has been very easy for me to find people that believe in the organization, but people who believe in what they do and what they can bring to the organization. The people that I have in the organization that are fully bought in and also good at what they do, I'm thankful for. And I think that is something that there's like you can't buy that. People having work ethic, you can't buy that. People not only having work ethic but also believing in you, you can't buy that. So I'm thankful for every single person that is on my team and on my board that have both because it is very scarce.
Okay. Kind of to go further in what you said, you said that finding those two qualities in a person is very rare. What advice would you recommend to give people to potentially find people like that in the beginning?
Don't be afraid to hire the person that's eager to learn. I find that the person that is eager to learn is the person that is easiest to work with. They might not have all the expertise. You may be looking for somebody who is a little bit more advanced, who's a little bit more intermediate, as opposed to beginner or entry. But be okay with entry because once you build somebody who is at an entry level, once you show them what you want and teach them a skill that they can take and make money off of, they're bought into you. As opposed to people who come with sometimes, and this is sometimes what I find is like somebody who comes with more experience, they try to tell you what you
More-
need. Like, hold on. I invited you here for your expertise. I didn't need your advice. I need your expertise. So, yeah, I would say don't be scared of building with somebody. Um, don't be scared of that learning curve because it's gonna be a learning curve. But have patience and know that like if somebody is at least hungry for their craft, finding that person that is hungry for their craft, that is always looking to hone in on their craft, that's the person that you want to work with because they're going to get it right, not just for you, but because they want to get it right for themselves too. And you have to find that. That's so important. It's so important.
Okay. And a good example what you're talking about is there's a lot of programs that y'all can do some independent research on this, but if you got certain stuff going on, you may qualify to be a conduit for an internship where someone could obviously if they're a complete beginner, their objective is to learn, and in most cases they're working for free, but it's part of the learning experience, and that's a great example of a person that would be someone that you would want to work with. Hmm. And just to kind of bring this back to event planning, well, this part of event planning, but what you're talking about is if people are going to be, if you're going to be hiring people and stuff like that, even if you're not going to be doing that, let's say you just start a small meetup group and you don't necessarily need to delegate anything to anyone. there's going to be people in your meetup group eventually that are going to be showing more interest than the other people. These are people when you say share something, you see a notification on Facebook that they actually shared the event. You need to keep an eye on people like that. So if an opportunity does come to further the organization or the meetup group, those are the people that you would actually want to go to first because they've shown uh, a level of interest is higher than the average person in the meetup group, in the organization, and what you got going on. Don't just ignore that or not see it. Keep your eyes open for stuff like that because that's how it was with the veggie outers. Like I saw that some people they were really like down for the cause. They were sharing the events, and these are the people that'll be your foot soldiers. And most importantly, when they do stuff for you, be sure to thank them. There was a quote from what was the course I took a good while ago. The course isn't available anymore, but he had this metaphor about like fire. Now, like entrepreneurs and freelancers, they usually equivalents of fire. But one thing you got to be careful is people who have so much fire in them can be abusive of those that support them. And a lot of people think of abusive as in like you're cussing someone out or something, and that is. But another form of abusive is not being grateful for them and taking what they do um, for granted. So one way you can avoid that is always be sure to just thank them and remain grateful.
I like to piggyback off of what you're speaking of because what I was saying earlier is that we started implementing like a reward program at for the girls because of memberships and members who kept coming back. So to show I'm thankful, I just want to highlight two of our members right now, Jasmine and Imani. Jasmine, she joins our meetup group in January. And I think Jasmine has missed one event. Jasmine has been at everything. She's been at things more than board members. Jasmine shows up. And so when I said like I had to do something for her, I was like, I have to do something for this girl. Like she's so amazing to us. And so that's when I was like, okay, well, not for nothing. Like I want to add this program anyways, but if there were ever a better candidate to start receiving things from For the Girls, it is Jasmine. So I want to shout out to Jasmine. Then Imani. We met her. Ooh, when did Imani come? All the months are running together. I think Imani came like in the she came this summer. I can say that for sure. She came this summer. I think she came at our ice cream social. That was our first meetup. Yeah, that was her first meetup. Imani came at our ice cream social, and I'm so thankful for her. She is so active. She is one of those that are like since she has attended that first ice cream social, she has attended everything else. Everything following that ice cream social, she's been there. She is somebody that shares and likes. And let me tell you something. Let me go back to Jasmine real quick to highlight her. Jasmine is only on Facebook. Now that's where we promote the least. Do you hear me? Like, and at least I'm being honest because that's not really where our platform is. But Jasmine is so she's screenshotting from where we typically post and putting it on her Facebook. Okay. And then Imani, she is actively sharing on her Instagram. She's actively commenting. And the other day, she texted me because all of the members have my personal phone number. It's important for me that they have it. But she texted me and she was just like, yeah, I love everything that you're doing. Or no, she didn't say you're. She said, I love everything that we're doing, which shows that she's community focused. Like, she's not a board member. She's just a regular member. Like, and she was like, I love what we're doing. So just being thankful for people like that. Absolutely thankful for the Jasmines and the Amanis and the ones that are to come. Because they really make, they sell the group. Like, it's so crazy that I like how much I'm starting to pull back too, because they do it. Like, they tell about how great the group is and they tell about all of their other meetup experiences. So just be thankful for the people who care and who are there, because it really makes a difference. I didn't know these girls in 2023. Now you can't tell me nothing about them.
Nice. Well, now I feel like I have to name drop the special. Well, there's been a lot of people that have supported the Veggie Outers, but I'm like top. I'm not gonna say top. These people have been consistent, like the most consistent. But David, Travis, and Gal, they've really been putting in the work for the group. And I know if some of y'all are watching, there's your shout out because y'all been putting in work. It's y'all are a big reason why the Veggie Outers is so big and successful now. Yeah. But I guess with that being said, we can go ahead and start winding down the interview. But I always ask my guests if you have a question that you want to hit me with. But the audience has banned the question of why did you start the Side Hustle Society podcast. If I say that, they're going to put a contract out on you. I don't want to see you hurt. So do you have any question aside from that one that you want to hit me with?
I wouldn't ask anybody like on they show why, because 9 times out of 10, like I've said that probably in my first episode or like my 15th episode. Like we're beating a dead horse. So don't come for me in the comments because I wasn't gonna ask that anyway. But I would say on this journey for you, I think sometimes that I've struggled, even like in my journey, in my walk, with consistency. How do you hold yourself accountable to stay consistent?
Deep question. I guess there's a few ways. One of the ways for me is kind of like using a weakness to your advantage. I have enough introspection to realize that to some degree I have like a fear of ridicule. So I use that to my advantage. The way this manifests is if you stop doing something, then you lose credibility. And for me, since I've been self-employed for over 7 years, oh, why'd you stop? Like, what's going on? Are you you starting to lose money? Did you go run back to the job? What's going on? So I post what I'm about to do on a regular basis, and I make it known when people can expect certain things. Like people know on Financial Anatomy channel, there's going to be a video at least once a week. Now, oftentimes I will do more than one video per week, but life does happen. So the fallback is once a week. And they keep seeing that consistency like, okay. I'm using like my fear of ridicule to motivate me to stay consistent, even if that means that life is going to get a little harder. Hey, I don't want to be perceived that way. So that's what keeps my output up. And the other one, I talk about this in my book, The Anatomy of Financial Success, but I call it the will to raise income. But if you're really, really, really focused on the outcome that you want, you're gonna get it. The point is, most people aren't focused, and they don't have enough introspection to sit down and really iron out their goals and seeing how achieving that goal will benefit them, their families, and humanity in some way. Those are the three emotional triggers that's required to raise to essentially achieve your financial goals. Now, here's the key thing: depending on your personality, one of those triggers is going to be higher than the other. You may be selfish, so your selfish desire to have things in your life is the more prime motivator for you to do things. Don't ignore the other two. You should still have reasons you're doing it for your family that they'll benefit from, and a reason. This is more of a bonus. Not everyone has to have this, but a reason that's more philanthropy based. Like, hey, when I get this money, I'm going to support this cause via my time or my money. Now, some of y'all are pro family. That's going to be your emotional trigger. Don't neglect the other two. And some people, y'all are full on philanthropists. Like, hey, it's not about me. It's about improving humanity. Don't neglect the other two. So I really tell people to sit down, just dedicate a whole evening to this and write down your selfish reasons, write down the reasons that will benefit your family, and write down the reasons that will benefit humanity or some big group in some form. And once you have that, pick 3 from each trigger, and you'll have a list. Print that list out, look at it, and you could get real fancy with this. Get a graphic designer to make it all cute and whatnot, but put it in your bathroom and you see it every single day, and you're covering all those emotional triggers. That's when it's going to get you out the bed and make you get out and make that money so that you can contribute to what you want to contribute to. I know I got real braggadocious, got real deep right there, but it's something that I'm passionate about.
Thank you so much. That was really insightful. And I'm definitely going to play this back so I can write that down because I was like, I don't want to just be writing on film, but that's something that I need to do. What are my triggers? That's a good one. And then I guess the follow-up question to that would be, I'm sorry, now I'm interviewing you, but we got time. So, but I guess the follow-up question to like how you stay consistent is when you are fatigued, because everybody gets fatigued. What are some of the things that you have already implemented to make sure that even when you are fatigued, you can keep going? Or are there people in position to help you when you're fatigued?
Well, in terms of people, I would say no, with the exception of like I don't design my own thumbnails. I have someone who designs my thumbnails for me, and I pay him. So I've outsourced things I don't like because I don't like graphic design. I can do it, but I don't like it. And when you're doing something that you don't like, that contributes to you being fatigued much faster. So the first thing I did when I got the money to do so is outsource the things I actively don't like doing that are taking energy away from me. So that extends my fatigue bar if we're gonna treat it like a video game. Like that will come much later. Aside from that, anything that I can do to make a process easier and less energy, I do. A good example, I'm recording in my set, but a lot of people don't know that I don't touch my set at all. It stays set up. So the thing that holds my camera up, it stays there. My ring light, it stays there. Uh, well, the way I've designed my set, bookcase is always going to be here. I'm not going to be moving that around. The table that I'm sitting at, always here. So when I want to film a video, there's not this mental stagnation of, oh, I got to set up the set. When I'm finished, I got to take it down. No, I created a scenario where this can be in its own room, which means I can just leave this stuff set up. Mental hacks like that play a big role in making sure that you don't get too fatigued. And if you are fatigued, it doesn't require so much energy to go ahead and do it. So it kind of reminds me of like when I go work out. There's some days I don't feel like working out, but if I can just get in the gym and maybe it's not going to be the best workout, I'm not giving it 100%. Maybe I'm giving it 70, but I still got my butt in the gym and did it. So that counts for something. It's the same concept.
I absolutely love that. That's a fantastic answer. And I think that a lot of people don't give themselves credit for just doing the small things. And I think that small thing to like give to keep you from being fatigued is like you said, it's identical to the gym. So I'm gonna keep this set up because there's gonna come a day when I don't feel like hitting that gym the same way. So at least let it just be set up. I love that answer. And I promise this is my last question. How many books do you read annually?
Annually? I'm gonna be honest. I don't have a set number anymore. I used to, but I guess if I was to give a number, it'd be between 3 to 5 books. But I used to, it'd be like 10 to 20 a year. A part of the reason to slow down, a lot of people know my first channel covered Uber Eats and DoorDash and stuff like that. There's no one in the car but you and a burrito. And the burrito's not going to mind if you put an audiobook on. So I was just gobbling audiobooks, stuff like that. And I made sure I got the physical copies too. Because most of these books, I've only read like 1/4 of them. The rest of them I've listened to. And a lot of people are like, well, why do you have a physical book? It's a trophy. I like the trophy.
I tell people that one all the time. Please don't. Please don't. I have read this book, even if somebody else read it to me. I have read this book. Leave me alone. Why do you need to go get the physical? Because it looks, doesn't this look pretty when I just hold it up? Hold on one second. Doesn't this look real good when I hold it up and I be like, yeah, read it. Yeah, it does. And you see all the thick old pages in there. Makes you say, she's a scholar. Yeah, leave me alone. I'm going to keep getting the physical books. Doesn't matter how many times I listen to it on audio.
Indeed. But I would say part of the reason I don't read as much anymore, once you put your tenure in really the the four main life areas, health and wellness, finance, relationships, and spirituality, you have a perspective on life that's you. I don't want to go as arrogant to say that you don't need to read anymore. It's just you learn the ability to think for yourself. Like the educational system doesn't really encourage thinking for yourself. It actually attacks your ability to think for yourself. And once you read enough books on all the subject matters I just talked about, you gain the ability to think for yourself. Then books become more of a okay, I just need the information, like the minute details. So let me go ahead and grab that. But most, like I would easily say, half the books out there, they're not strictly information and details. A lot of them are philosophical, which is fine. But once you develop your own philosophy, those books don't have as much to offer you. So you really just look to get the information and strictly the information. That's why the amount of books I've read throughout the years, well, really, I would say throughout the last 2 years, has dropped to like 3 to 5. But I'm real selective on what those 3 to 5 books are going to be. Versus previously, I would I would still read or listen to quality books, but I wouldn't be as selective. Like I listen to 3 or 4 things on the same subject matter to get these 3 or 4 perspectives in addition to the information. Now my perspective has been molded, so I just need the information.
Thank you so much. That was great.
Cool, cool. Well, I'm pretty sure the audience got a lot out of you asking an additional questions, so don't feel too bad about it. But since we are winding down the show, why don't you let the audience know on where can they find you? Feel free to drop your social media and also your website. We'll link in the description, but for the audio listeners, let's hit them with it.
Okay, thank you so much again for having me on your show. I really appreciate this, and I hope that somebody got a little something out of what I said today. You can find me on all social media platforms at the number 4, the girls social. You can also find us on our website at www.the4thegirlssocial.org. We're also on LinkedIn, and you can connect with us at the number 4, the girls social. That's all one word also. The number 4, the girls social, all one word. And then you can find me on LinkedIn at Kirsten Bradford MS on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Y'all be sure to check her out. Also follow her. And we'll go ahead and start winding down the show. I mean, I think it was a very productive show. Great show. A lot of gems were dropped, even some of the stuff outside of event planning. But even the stuff we did talk about in regards to event planning and the benefit it can have in terms of lead generation for freelancers had a lot of value. So if y'all are listening to us on YouTube, if you can give this video a thumbs up, very much appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. And if you found value, feel free to leave us a review in the platform that you're listening or watching on. It's been Elijah with the Side Hustle Society. Be safe and be profitable, everyone, and keep an eye out for our next episode. Peace out.
This episode may be over, but your hustling journey has just started. Visit thesidehustlersociety.com to access all links and resources mentioned in the show that will help you on your hustler's journey.
Okay, so we just finished the podcast segment. Y'all be sure to check Christian's channel out, not channel, but her website out. She's a very energetic person, has a lot to offer when it comes to arranging meetups in person and online. And I honestly think that that's a sleeping gem that a lot of people aren't taking advantage of when it comes to lead generation for whatever you're doing, whether you have a full business or freelancing, etc. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next part of the show. But I do want to give a quick shout out to say that we still do have I decided to extend it because people get value out of it, but we do still have the 25% discount on everything on the Side Hustle Society website. That includes the membership group, the Self-Made Business Academy. Just use the term American Dream 2025, and you can go ahead and take advantage of that. Sale ends at the end of today at midnight. Now, let's go ahead and get into this Airbnb game because they've made some changes, and part of me I'm starting to wonder if they've lost their damn mind. But let's just go ahead and get into it. So we're gonna share my screen, and we're going to break down this policy change. In fact, a lot of people have been kind of missing the Airbnb videos. They've been kind of wondering, like, Elijah, what's going on? Like, why aren't you covering Airbnb? Well, here's this segment for you. All right. So Airbnb has recently changed their policy, and this policy affects your cancellation. So as a host, if a guest books to stay and they just decide for whatever reason they can't come anymore, depending on your cancellation policy, when they cancel, they'll either get a partial refund, a full refund, and depending on what policy you're using, that determines your payout. Now, why is this important for people who might be guests? Like, why should we get anything? Think of it like this. As a host, your calendar is wide open, okay? And it's available for everyone to book. But you as a guest let's say you book a house a month or two in advance for a vacation. So that's great and all, but for whatever reason, a few days before it's time for your stay to start, something comes up and you can't make the trip anymore. So you cancel your stay. Well, that means that all those days someone else could have booked the host's property, but you were taking up that spot. So there's got to be some kind of payment for that, because even if the host re-gets the place booked, they're usually going to have to drop their rate to get someone in there, because most people, especially with houses, book further in advance. That's why the host has to get something for that. In most cases, unless they have something known as a flexible policy, which is insane if you're going to be operating with houses. But I just wanted to give you all the context of why this is so important and why that's relevant. So we're going to read changes to standard cancellation policies effective October 11th, 2025. In fact, let me actually drop this link in the description, in the comments, in case anyone wants to actually check this out. Airbnb policy. All right. So the link is in the chat if y'all actually want to check this out yourselves. Starting on October 1st, 2025, all standard cancellation policies for shorter stays or less than 28 days will include a 24-hour cancellation period, allowing guests to cancel for a full refund up to 24 hours after the reservation is confirmed, as long as the reservation was confirmed at least 7 days before check-in, based on the listing's local time. So that's essentially saying that it doesn't matter what your cancellation policy is. If they book a stay more than a week out, they're entitled to a full refund potentially with these new changes to the policy. I'm gonna be honest. I deal in apartments. In fact, for those of y'all that want to know more about my Airbnb setup, I'll link the card on the playback where I kind of broke down like how I made 6 figures a year, and I shared how I invested my YouTube money into getting apartments and then rental arbitraging them on Airbnb. But I mainly deal in apartments, studio apartments at that, and the lead time, or the amount of time someone is actually booking the stay, the difference between when they're booking the stay to when they actually arrive is usually about a week. Now, people can book further in advance, but generally speaking, studio apartments are kind of in line with hotels from that perspective. Versus, let's say, a house or a mansion or some of this stuff y'all have seen maybe more on TV that people are booking. People tend to book those type of stays months in advance. So this is something that affects people who have houses in their real estate portfolio much more than someone like me who's dealing in studio apartments, because most people are booking within a week's time anyway. So I find it very interesting that they chose specifically a week for that time frame. We are introducing a new limited policy, which allows for guests to cancel until 14 days before check-in for a full refund. I guess we'll have to see how that plays out when they release it. I personally don't have any interest in using it as a host. Again, I usually use a modern policy. So the modern policy states that A guest can cancel up to 5 days. Well, I might just need to pull it up. But essentially, if someone books your property and there's a modern policy, then they'll get a full refund as long as it's more than 5 days out from when they booked. After 5 days, once 5 days from check-in has been reached, then they'll get a partial refund. And that can range from half to like between 30% and half, depending on the day. In most cases, it's usually half, but yeah. And I'll keep that. But once my calendar is kind of booked, like let's say all of July is booked, I'll switch it to the firm policy, which is a more stricter version of a cancellation policy. But once someone checks out, then I'll switch it back to the modern policy. That's just a little trick I use as a host to make more money because if someone does cancel under a firm policy, just being honest, we get more money. But I don't really want people tying up my calendar. So it's more so a deterrent against that. Like I really want people, if they book with me, they know they're coming. I don't want flaky, fickle guests booking my calendar, which is why, for the most part, I don't ever touch the flexible policy. The strict policy will no longer be available for new listings. Any current listings with a strict policy will be converted to firm unless you opt out and choose to keep strict policy strict by October 1st, 2025. For those of y'all don't know, strict policy is essentially you have 48 hours to cancel and get a full refund. After that, it's a wrap. If you need to cancel, the host keeps pretty much all the money. At that point, if you want to get a payout, you need to consult with your travel insurance company. Now, here's the interesting part, okay? I'm part of a Facebook group called the Hosts of Airbnb Automated, and someone was complaining about this exact policy. I didn't even know that this was happening until I saw them complaining about it in the Facebook group. Come to find out, I checked my email, and I saw that they sent out an email about this, but it ended up in my updates tab or something, so I clicked on it and saw this. Now, anyone in their right mind as a host is going to want to opt out because more options is better. And if you have the option to use a strict policy, then why wouldn't you want to keep it? So, especially if you're a house, but even for studio apartments like me, it never hurts to have more options. So, what happens when I actually click this button? Because I clicked it thinking, like, okay, well, I definitely want to opt out of this. And it doesn't go anywhere. Y'all see this? It straight up doesn't go anywhere. So I'm backing up, and at least on desktop, it doesn't take me anywhere. Now, I don't have the screenshot pulled up. Otherwise, I'd show y'all. But when I click on it on mobile, it says that they just straight up removed the strict cancellation policy is just going to be removed on October 21st, and there's nothing you can do about it. They don't say it like that, but that's the gist of it. So let me get this straight. You put this in the policy, and then you have the option to opt out. But then all of a sudden, you can't opt out anymore. It's just, oh, we're just getting rid of it altogether. My view is too many people saw this and were opting out, and rightfully so. It's one thing if any new listing you make will automatically not have the strict cancellation policy as an option, but this opt out was for your existing listings. Maybe they thought I don't know. I think too many people were opting out, and then they freaked out like, oh, you know what, we're just going to get rid of it entirely. And they haven't even updated this policy, which is kind of crazy. So people, hosts feel a certain way about this, and I really don't blame them, especially if you're dealing with the houses or not even just houses. Let's say if you're dealing in like 3-unit apartments, 3-bedroom apartments, maybe even 2-bedroom apartments, you might just want to have access to that strict cancellation policy. But with it not having an option, yeah. So why is Airbnb doing this? I think it's because they're under a lot of pressure because a lot of guests are just flaky, and they book a place, but then they see it has a strict cancellation policy, but they go ahead and book it. Then they decide they don't want to go somewhere. And then the inevitable happens where they have to cancel and they don't get a refund. And when that happens, Airbnb may or may not give them a refund, but it doesn't come oftentimes. It's not coming from the host because it's their fault, and they don't really have much of a claim since they didn't even check into the host property, so they can't even make some kind of fraudulent story up that, hey, I saw bugs all over the place. Why can you see bugs all over the place if you cancel 2 days before you even arrive? So it wouldn't make sense. So Airbnb, if they do give them a refund just to try and keep their reputation intact, they're subsidizing these refunds because it's not coming from us, the host. So they're giving it to the guests out of their own pockets, and that's going to start to add up. So I think that's why they're getting rid of this strict cancellation policy. And I think that, well, everyone's already upset about it, but this is going to give the other platforms like the competitors like Verbo and Booking.com and some of these smaller platforms an edge. And they're going to incentivize more people who are hosts to go and start listing on their platforms and booking on those platforms. Or even better, they're going to convince people to start going direct. In fact, in that regard, I actually had an epiphany myself, and I'm going to share with y'all a short story. This summer, one of my listings was performing like normal, and I was talking to one of my contacts. She's a realtor, and she told me about a friend of one of her family members is coming in for an internship in the summer. And she said, is it okay if she passes my information on to him? I said, I got no problem. She told me the dates he'd be coming in, and I never heard from him, so I assumed he probably found some other spot. And then a few days after he had arrived in town, I just got a random call. So I answered the phone, like, hello. And we started talking. Come to find out that whoever he was supposed to stay with for his intern, not stay with, but the company he booked with, they bailed on him at the last minute for whatever reason. So he needed somewhere to stay within the next 2 or 3 days. And after talking with him, I was able to negotiate a pretty fair rate to where he can afford to stay. And this is a corporate housing client. So his payment would be for the rest of the summer, and I would receive the payment all at once because corporate housing, it's not that uncommon to receive a full payment all at once. So it's about $4,000 that I received, well, close to the $4,500 I received to book him at one of my studio apartments. But here's the kicker: we didn't do it on Airbnb because he checked the Airbnb price and it was inflated. It's inflated on purpose because and generally speaking, I want shorter bookings during the summer to maximize income, but corporate housing is a little different. But I told him, well, we can do a cheaper rate if we're not on Airbnb. So you don't have to pay a service fee. I don't have to pay a service fee either, so I can give you a better rate. That's exactly what we did. And you want to make sure you have the proper insurance in place, short-term rental insurance or even midterm. Short-term rental insurance and corporate housing or midterm rental insurance in play. Proper, super hog, etc. We're not going to go heavy into that. But yeah, so we set that up and I typed up a lease. There are several lease templates that you can use. Just Google your state and lease template or landlord lease template. And as I was reading and filling it out, I've done this before, so it wasn't that much of a foreign concept, but obviously I took a security deposit and I was reading this line. This line said that, if the landlord puts your security deposit, which we have to give that back to the tenant, assuming that they didn't trash the whole place. If they put it in an interest savings bearing account, you're not entitled to any additional income made off your security deposit. And that got me really thinking. So Airbnb does a lot of work for us as hosts, but one thing that in doing all that work, they take away a lot of advantages that we would have if we were booking direct. And one of them is you take a security deposit. Airbnb is taking like the risk for you, and then they'll cover you using air cover and all that stuff. But let's just stick with the traditional method of you get a security deposit. Now, let's say you have a lot of apartments, a lot of properties. The average security deposit, if someone has good stellar credit and like them or whatever, it could just be like $300. But let's just assume that they're a complete stranger. It's usually 1 month's worth of rent. And if this is corporate housing, these contracts can last from 3 months to almost a full year. So you just have this $1,500 just sitting in a bank account, and it doesn't take that many properties for you to have like a lot of money that can just be sitting in a high interest savings account. And let's say you put it in this is the financial anatomy in me. So what account are we gonna put it in? I'll just say Ally Bank, just because I can't think of anyone else at the moment. But last I checked, they had a 4.25 savings interest rate. So you just put it in there, and it just keeps accumulating interest. And then when it's time for your tenants to check out, you obviously give the security deposit back minus any expenses. But that's just money sitting there making you more money. And if you have a lot of properties, that's just free money. Uh, a lot of banks have a maximum amount they're willing to pay for savings interest in a year. It's usually $5,000. Well, once that happens and you maxed out a bank account, just move the money to another high interest savings account and repeat the process. Now you might be thinking, well, $5,000 a year, that's not that much money, right? Technically it's not, but it's money you didn't have to do anything for. It's the definition of passive income. And even if it's not that much money, how about this? You're going to be taxed on that income like anything else, right? Why don't you just take all the income that you made off of these security deposits and throw it at your tax bill for the end of the year? So it's literally lowering your tax bill just for putting money in an account that you got to get back to the tenants anyway, but it's still lowering your tax bill in the process. You see, you have that opportunity if you're booking direct, but you don't have that with Airbnb or Verbo or any of these OTAs. So I share that story just because I want y'all to actually just think about that. Because I didn't think about it for a good while until I actually got this corporate housing tenant. I was just like, wow, like Airbnb does a lot. They bring people to you fairly easy. It's not that hard to get the algorithm to send people your way. But there is a trade-off, and trade-offs are things like this. Let me know in the comments, what do y'all think about that? I really felt the need to share that. And since we're talking about the cancellation policy and the changes in this segment of the podcast or this video, if I'm going to clip it, I think it's pretty relevant, right? But I've kind of rambled about that for a good while. Let's go ahead and move on. So next up, I'm going to be sharing a few picks for Uber Eats. In fact, let's go ahead and stop sharing this. Hold on. Let's remove that. So Uber Eats has made some changes to their heat map. And you might be wondering, what the heck is a heat map? We'll get into it. But I'm going to upload these screenshots so that y'all will be able to see them. Give me one sec. But while we are doing that, if y'all have any questions or comments, leave them in the chat and we can look at addressing those because this is an interactive show. It's not just me talking. This is strange. For some reason, I don't have the option to add like images. I don't know why that's the case. StreamYard has recently changed the format of what we see in the back end, so just bear with me for a sec. Okay, here we are. So go to present, then go to image files. All right, here we go. And we should be able to see the heat map now. It's not in the format I would like, but I'm just gonna have to live with it. So, oh my gosh. All right, that's much better. All right, so as y'all can see, this is a screenshot of the new heat map that Uber Eats is using now. And the original system is, if there was activity in the area, like let's say there's a McDonald's and a Whataburger and a Panda Express, and like a bunch of orders are coming in for Uber Eats drivers to go and pick up the orders for activity, it would have this little house icon next to it. But the thing is, I personally never found that to be accurate. Like you can go to a spot and the house icon would be there, and it could be like maybe 5 or 10 minutes before you get an order, which defeats the purpose of having it there in the first place. So I guess this is their response to that. Now, keep in mind that when I say activity, that doesn't mean the activity is good. You can go to a hotspot and get nothing but $2, $3, $4 orders, or some orders there are less than $2 if no one's tipping. So don't equate hotspot with making money necessarily. People still need to be tipping in that area. But my point is Uber Eats has changed the heat map. So is it any better? Well, we're going to go through the different phases of what they define. It's more individualized, I'll say. So when something is shown, it only shows the restaurant, and it doesn't have this like house icon that could be. It only triggers when like there's a bunch of restaurants in that area that's busy, or there's a certain amount of orders. I think that's part of the reason that house icon originally wasn't that effective. Now, we'll start with this one, the busy scenario. Why does it keep doing that? Okay. So this was taken at Mr. Jim's Pizza. It says it's less busy. And one thing about the heat map, it's kind of modeled after the surge concept for UberX. So the more busy an area is and the higher the surge amount is that you get paid, the redder the map will start to appear. So like the $1.25 bonus surge will be like an orange color. The $5 surge will be kind of red, like a $10 surge will be like bloodshot red or dark red. So they're kind of modeling off that same concept, which drives me insane as a rideshare driver because I'm programmed to see red as money or extra money when it's not. But let's talk about the heat map. So when it says it's less busy, I find that the wait is still about like 7 or 8 minutes. I've done some experimenting with this, but I would really love to hear y'all chime in the comments section because this is still fairly new, or at least it's hit my market fairly new. So when you see a restaurant that's less busy, is it really, how long does it take before orders are coming in? Keep in mind that doesn't mean they're quality orders like we already kind of established, but are they coming in at a regular basis? What's the interval? Next up, we got what the heat map defines as just busy. Yeah, and this is at McDonald's. This is a reddish orange color. I find that usually orders are coming in between 8 to 5 minutes, closer to 5 minutes. And the last one, let's go ahead and pull that up. The last one on the heat map is very busy. This is where it's equivalent to the surge color for UberX, where it's just like extremely red. I find that orders are coming in usually within between immediately to 5 minutes, which I don't really think is an appropriate range. It's supposed to be very busy. I think that should only trigger when orders are coming in every 2 minutes, max, in my opinion. So I still think that this heat map could use some refining. And Uber said in this heat map, when they said that they're dropping it, it was put as a notification to everyone's phone that these reset every 10 minutes. That might have been the frequency it was resetting before. We just didn't know when it reset. I think that's too long. Maybe they can get it down to maybe every 7 or 5 minutes, but every 10 minutes, what if it gets extremely busy and then orders stop for some reason? For whatever reason, like let's say Wingstop was running a promotion for free fries and buy one, get one free off of chicken wings or whatever. I'm just thinking out of my head. And that ends at 6 o'clock and 6 o'clock comes and orders just die off. No one's ordering anything. But you already went over there to the hotspot, the hotspot, right? Well, then you're sitting there for 10 minutes and it says very busy and you're not getting nothing. You're just like, what's going on? Then eventually, in that scenario, it would probably just disappear altogether. It probably wouldn't even steadily go down from very busy to busy, then to less busy. It would probably just go away completely. Or would it? I don't know. I would hope it would, but I think 10 minutes is too much time. They need to get it down to like 5 minutes in terms of it resetting the map. That's how it is with UberX. I don't know why Uber Eats has such an extended time. Like surge amounts on the map reset every 5 minutes. It's every 5 minutes. So even if the activity has stopped, it doesn't immediately just vanish. It takes 5 minutes to go away. Then every 5 minutes it's rebooted. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do y'all like this new heat map? Do y'all not care for it? Did y'all like the house system better? Did y'all like it when Uber wasn't even showing what was going on? I personally think it is better than that house system, but that's not saying much. And I still don't equate, like, it's good them letting us know the activity, but that still doesn't mean you make a lot of money if you go over there. You still need to be categorizing your restaurants from like, hey, what restaurants are actually tipping, and if there are any promos in the mix. Are they worth it to go to said restaurant? Would that be quests or boosts, etc.? Check out part 3 of the old Uber Eats course that I made, where I broke down how to categorize restaurants. They've changed the algorithm since then, so things are outdated. But one thing that is still the same is you got to categorize your restaurants. So y'all are probably wondering, Elijah, like we don't have any reaction content today. Like, what's up with that? Don't worry, I got y'all covered. In fact, recently, Slim Thug made some kind of comment, just based on what someone's telling me. They sent me this, and he made some comment on how to save money, and we're gonna react to that. So let me switch to our reaction format. If assuming StreamYard still remembers it, okay, so it does somewhat. Cool, and let's go ahead and share what Slim Thug has to say about saving money. It's interesting because obviously he's a rapper, he's a celebrity, so he's no stranger to making a lot of money. But let's hear what he has to say about managing it and keeping it. Oh, this will be linked in the description. It's from 9mag TV. Y'all see the title. I'm not going to read it because of obvious reasons. Okay. And this will be linked in the description, like I said.
Slim Thug speaks on the current economic conditions men and women are faced with today.
A lot of women crying broke and homeless lately, Slim. A lot of dudes is too. Shit, everybody up going through it, trying to figure it out, trying to see what's next. it seemed like somebody said this too, and I believe it. It's like you either got rich motherfuckers getting rich, or you got motherfuckers going broke. Ain't no middle class. It's broke and rich.
You know what? I agree with him there. There's been a lot of talk about what he calls is known as the shrinking middle class. It's getting to the points where I don't think it should be this way, but either you're gonna be rich or be poor, and that's part of the reason I'm so passionate about side hustles, which is what this channel is all about, and even about going full time into freelancing if you so desire. I think that's going to be the new version of a middle class. Like you'll have your job, but if you want to be in the quote unquote middle class, you got to have some kind of side hustle to make extra money with. Or if you decide to let the job scenario go completely, your only shot at being in the middle class or the upper middle class is really going to be freelancing and gig work. By gig work, I mean, I'm really talking about freelancing. I'm not talking about the gig economy. But yeah, that's the direction things are going. No, I want to make sure that everyone's equipped to have a shot at it. Because not everyone can be rich. And even if everyone could be rich, do you really want to be? The rich have a different set of problems then. You might decide that life is not for you if you even had access to it. By the way, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're new. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. Let's keep going.
It seems like we losing the middle class. It seems like it's turning into either or. It ain't a three-way thing. It ain't rich, middle class, broke. It's broke or rich. So
be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
That would it seemed like. I'm not nothing but Big Slim. I don't know shit. I'm just making my opinion. But yeah. It's been a lot of job layoffs. That's what I'm saying. Like I talked to somebody who was making 6 figures, been out of work, nowhere to find. See, what they doing is they swapping people out. Pull up. Why you ain't at the park? Pull up. I'm about to get this 3. But yeah, I think them people trying to save money now, so they getting rid of people with seniority, and and then now when you try to get a new job, they don't want to pay you like you already put in work. They want to pay you at beginner level.
You know what? That's so true. In fact, personal story, I think this probably motivated me to become an entrepreneur more than anything else. I used to work for Whole Foods Market and Amazon before Amazon acquired them, ironically enough. But both of them were part time. So I've been working for Amazon for about a year and a half, and they had me at the independent contractor status. For people who have worked at Amazon, they have this thing called a blue badge. And if you're a blue badge, that means that you're officially an employee there. If you had a white badge, that means that you're, a contractor that can be let go technically at any point, but you can be there for a max of 12 months, and then they gotta let you go. And at Whole Foods Market, I was hired on, but they have a probational period of it's supposed to be, how long was it supposed to be? I think it was supposed to only be like a month, but they kept me in that probationary period for 9 months until I had went on and quit because Amazon's peak season was coming up, and I already knew there's going to be like a bunch of overtime available there, and I wouldn't be able to do both jobs, even if I wanted to. Amazon, like the way they have it set up, they have you flexing up or flexing down, which means that adds an hour to your already like 4 hour shift. But to be honest, there's more money at Amazon at that time for those few months I went on and quit Whole Foods. But here's the thing: the probationary period was supposed to be for a month. Okay. And I talked to my team leader, and he did everything he was supposed to. Like a month from when I was hired, he gave me my assessment, and you got to get at least a 3 or higher overall to stay on, otherwise they let you go. And he gave me like my average like a 4 point. It was like a 4.1 or something. It was extremely high, but he just said, but right now we have to keep you in this period because we have to essentially, I forgot what reason he gave me. It kind of went in one ear and out the other because I'm like, I know whatever they told you, I already know it's bullshit. I know, but I know the game. Like, it's easier to let me go from this position, and you wouldn't have to give me any benefits until I'm off the probationary period. Okay. So what Slim Thug is talking about, I know what he's talking about. And that was back in, damn, like 2014, maybe. So it's a much, much, much worse now. But let's go ahead and get back into it.
And I think that's the problem with a lot of people right now. Why they losing their jobs? I think people trying to cut that money off. You know what I'm saying? Them benefits, y'all costing too much because y'all got so much seniority. They got to pay you more than they would have to pay a young motherfucker. Like, that would have seemed like.
Oh man, I can't believe I forgot to say the second part of the story. So another reason I did quit at Whole Foods is because I saw what was coming. But this was at the point where some change in the company caused them to let go of like a bunch of people in the building. And these are people that had been with the company for quite some time. Now, one of my teammates or team members, and that's what your coworkers, they call them team members at Whole Foods. He had been there for maybe 2 years, not that long. So him getting let go wasn't that surprising. But like there are people that have been there for like 10, 15 years. And these were the same people that, when they had met me and saw I was on my probationary period, they're saying, oh, this is such a great company to work for, such an awesome company. And half of them were let go. Okay. Half of them were just let go. I forgot what reason it was given. And the other half that remained, they were just kind of disillusioned with the company. They lost their optimism. And I never asked them what you told me. Is that still the case? But they're just like, I just can't believe that happened. Like, yeah. So I have personally lived through this. And I'm glad I lived through this as a young person because I wouldn't want to be at a job where I'm walking on eggshells. Like I could get let go at any moment, which technically is that's part of being an employee, I hate to say. But at least before, if you got let go, it's because you screwed up. You failed to do the job or like something like that. Now you can get let go just because the company's greedy, or they may not even be greedy. Just employees are just too expensive nowadays. Having employees as a company is fucking expensive. I'm just telling y'all, it's much cheaper to hire contractors and even pay those contractors higher wages, but you don't have to give them benefits. It is what it is.
So it's like, yeah, you want to figure out a way to take the power out of the people's hands and control the power yourself, of your finances, of your life. You want to take the power out of other people's hands where they can control. Because being, they say they only give you $500 a month when you're unemployed. So to go from that to $500 a month, okay, let's break that down. Okay, so
Fair use.
due to it being this situation, you need to have at least, I say 2 years rent saved. But if you just, at the bottom starting, you need to be working on 12, at least a year of your monthly bills put up before you go buy some designer, before you go do anything. Go put that up as a safety net. You know what I'm saying? Just in case some shit happen. How long it take you to find a new job? I think if you got a year of shit saved, I think in the first 6 months, you should have to have a job for sure. Even if you had to take a lesser amount of money and had to settle for less, I think you just got to make an executive decision to take less after 6 months. And that's just how it got to be. Everybody got to save up. And everybody got to be able to get another job in 6 months. A year is a long time. It shouldn't take you 6 months to find a job. It might not be the one you want, but you know what I'm saying? That's how you want to live, at least.
Okay, so I do have some commentary on this. Props to Sim Thug for giving this opinion, and I don't think anything he said is objectively bad or anything. I just have a different take on it based on a few different variables. Now, in general, I would never. I struggled on if I actually wanted to put this on this channel or talk about this on this channel. This is more of a financial anatomy topic, but I think it's applicable to the side hustler society too. Because if you're looking for side hustles, half the people on this channel who are looking for a side hustle, they've actually either lost their job or they think it might happen in the future and they just want a little insurance in their head just because they have another way of making money. Good for them. And I'm happy to be able to help y'all with that. So I would never, ever, ever want to have 24 months of savings of rent payments built up. In fact, let's just go ahead and replace rent with just expenses. So your monthly expenses, rent, car note, all that. Because obviously you have more expenses than rent. And we're going to talk about survival expenses, not like as much as health is important, you don't need a gym membership, okay? You can work out without going to the gym. We're talking about needed expenses. So we'll just go ahead and use that as a better term to describe what he's talking about, not just rent payments. Reason being is at some point, there's a trade-off between each time you're saving money, that money is losing value because of inflation. And a great example of that money has to serve some kind of purpose. Like you remember the analogy I gave during the Airbnb section where I talked about how if you have your security deposits from your tenants and you put them in an interest-bearing account, a high-interest savings account, that money is making you money. And then you could take the money and just throw it at your taxes to reduce your tax load. I specifically gave a purpose for that money because technically allowing it to sit there, it's just getting eaten up by inflation. And you'll technically, from a currency perspective, be worse off in a year with that money sitting in the bank than if you did some other things with it. So that's why I would never want to have just 2 years of savings just sitting there. The opportunity cost is just far too great, and you're in a trending losing battle. Now, there's a balance because I wouldn't say you shouldn't have any savings, because life does happen. What if your transmission goes out tomorrow and that's your way of getting around town, doing your gig work, doing meeting your contacts for freelancing or going to your job, and you don't have the money? Now you're in a what they call a pickle. So a good balance is to have actually what he suggested, which is maximum a year's worth of savings. But even that, I would actually say is pushing it because of this reason. How long will it take you to save 12 months of living expenses up? And if it takes you more than half the amount of time of that year to save up a year's worth, so if it takes more than 6 months to save up a year's worth of money, that's a problem. That means you have that money would be better suited to be invested. And I don't mean investing in the stock market or real estate. And even though you can do those things, that's not what I'm talking about. The greatest return you're going to get is investing in yourself. And if you cannot save enough money up to reach that savings goal in a reasonable time, like the ratio I just shared is actually just a good ratio in general to use. So if you're trying to save at least 6 months worth up, you should be able to get to that in 3 months, etc. Then you're not addressing the root of the problem. And if you're not addressing the root of the problem, which is either you have way too much debt and it needs to get paid off because that's where all your money is going to, paying down debt, which overall still would be getting you ahead, but that's a different topic. Or you can't make enough income because you don't have any skills. You're what's known as unskilled labor. You need to pick up a trade or skill, master that skill, and then start making some decent money. What I call decent money is anything that gets you to high 5 figures or low 6 figures, has the capacity to. And I said trade or skill for a reason. That's separate from a job. I use myself, for example, the video editing is a high 5 figure pay skill. If you really want to push it, low 6 figures. So I have the ability to generate that money with that trade or skill, in this case, a skill. But you need to find out which trade or skill you want to go for. Save up your pennies to do what you need to do to get either certified for that or get taught by to do that, and then start doing it and start making extra money that way. And then you can work towards saving that 6 months to a year's worth of income up in terms of your monthly expenses. I say that because so many people, like, they talk about the saving stuff, but if you're not making enough money, you're really prolonging a bigger problem, in my opinion. If you just took that extra $100 or $200 a month you have, which obviously won't be enough to save up a year's worth of time in 6 months, a year's worth of monthly expenses in 6 months, and you invest that in, you save that up, and then you invest it into a trade school, or let's say a course on how to do graphic designing, or you start working towards becoming an electrician, like something like that. That is a much better use of that money than just saving it. You see why context matters so much, and that's why I was debating on if this topic goes here or in financial anatomy. And maybe I'll put it on both channels. I don't know. It's on Side Hustle Society on the stream, but I'm going to clip this and put it somewhere. Probably put it on both. But that's my thoughts on what Slim Thug had to say. Well, we'll go ahead and let him finish what he's going to say. I think it's coming to the end, but let's go ahead and hear the end.
You want to move with that safety. You don't want to be in the mall buying shit and you ain't got a year saved. If your shit go bad, you going to be having to call somebody this same month that your shit fall apart. That ain't it, kid. We're going to have to work on that. We're going to have to move different, think better, move smarter. You know what I'm saying? Because this shit is a recession. A lot of people losing their jobs. You don't know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's right. But honestly, rappers are actually a great example of what I just said. I mean, their skill is rapping, and they have ways of raising income using their rap skills. So if stuff hits the fan for him, where he can start booking shows, he can run some promotions, he can get in the studio to produce an album to make money. So he's actually living proof of what we talked about. Let me know in the comments section Or do you think saving is more important or investing in yourself is more important? And what's the balance between the two? Because they're both important in their own ways, but one has more value than the other depending on where you are in life. If you're not making that much money, I don't recommend saving like a year's worth of expenses up. You should be essentially save at least a month's worth of expenses because something can still happen. But anything outside of that, you should probably be investing that money into yourself and getting some kind of trader skill. Then once you have that, you have the ability to make higher income, or let's just say even average income. Let's say you become like a plumber. Plumbers, you know what? Let's actually Google. I'll use Chat GPT. How about that? Let's type in Chat GPT. What do plumbers make per year? Let's see. Chat GPT. How much does the average plumber make in the United States? Here we go. Okay. So according to ChatGPT, which, see if I can make it. Well, yeah. According to ChatGPT, which is just pulling this data off of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, U.S. plumbers generally earn between $60,000 and $65,000 per year on average. So we can even work with that number and say that you start making that average amount of money. That's still much better than some people in the positions of like working at McDonald's or Popeyes or something. So if you're working at McDonald's or Popeyes, I would say savings is the least of your priorities. You should be trying to get a trader skill that even gives you average money. You can work with average money, okay? Because then you can save up to the year's worth of expenses. And you have a trader skill that you can do some freelancing on the side. You can work for a company as a plumber, but you can also take some clients on the side and make some extra money. So you can push that average money to from 65,000 to let's say 85,000. Then all of a sudden you're at that high five-figure threshold that we talked about. So yeah, I'm glad that I was able to talk about that. Like I said, Slim Thug didn't say anything wrong necessarily, but I just wanted to add some additional context to what he's saying because I think that's very important to put in the right context. But with that being said, it's about time to start winding down the stream. Let me take these overlays off. But yeah, I think it was a pretty good show today. We talked about how to set up meetups that can serve as a great lead generation for your business. We talked about Airbnb and the crazy policies the changes they made to their policies in regards to cancellations and what I think is probably going to happen. We talked about the heat map on the Uber Eats, how it's changed for delivery drivers and my opinions on it, and how to use it going forward. And we gave some commentary on what Slim Thug had to say about just the economy, which everything he said about the economy, I agree with. I mean, it's rough out here. But that's why having a side hustle is so important, and having a side hustle that is an extension of a trade or a skill. But that does it for this Money Monday stream. Any questions or any comments, leave them in the comment section below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. Very much appreciated. And of course, subscribe if you're new. This is Elijah. Peace out.